started with a wall. A big, ugly cinderblock wall right across the east side of my ranch, the side that connected to the main road. Now, mind you, this wasn't a small fence dispute or a misplaced sign. This was a 10-foot-tall wall, freshly built overnight by the HOA, complete with barbed wire and a smug little private property. HOA access only sign right in the middle. I'd been in town for 2 days on business, reviewing cases at the courthouse. Most folks around here knew me as Judge Harper. Karen, however, just called me that stubborn ranch guy who doesn't follow HOA rules. When I pulled up to my ranch and saw that wall, my first thought was, well, this is going to be fun. Karen herself appeared, clipboard in hand, wearing her signature sunglasses like she was auditioning for a villain role in a low-budget soap opera. "Morning," she chirped. "We decided to take some initiative since you refused to follow our boundary guidelines." I stared at the wall. "You built this on my access road. That's trespassing." She smirked. "Actually, the HOA board determined that this land belongs to the community buffer zone. You'll have to submit a variance request if you'd like it moved." I smiled, slowly, the kind of smile that makes people nervous. "Karen, are you aware that this road predates your HOA by 47 years? "That's irrelevant," she said, flipping her papers. "Our bylaws override." I cut her off. "Your bylaws don't override deeds, titles, or state property law. You just built a structure across a registered easement." Karen blinked, clearly confused. "An easement? That's right," I said. "And since I'm one of the judges for the county, I wrote the legal memo about it last year." Her smile vanished. I didn't yell. I didn't threaten. I just took out my phone, snapped pictures of the wall, her HOA badge, and the construction crew still unloading bricks. Then I made one phone call, not to the sheriff, not to my lawyer, to the County Zoning Commission. By the next morning, the HOA office was buzzing like a hornet's nest. Inspectors showed up with legal documents, measuring equipment, and demolition orders. Karen was there too, trying to argue that the judge himself can't file complaints against citizens. That's when the lead inspector looked at her and said, "Ma'am, you built an unpermitted structure on judicial property. You're lucky this isn't a criminal matter yet." She turned beet red. "Judicial property? What are you talking about? It's his ranch." The inspector handed her a document. "Per County Ordinance 12-47, Judge Harper's property is under the state's protective zoning for agricultural and public use access. You just interfered with a protected route used by emergency services." Karen's mouth opened, but no sound came out. 2 hours later, bulldozers rolled in. The HOA wall was flattened in 20 minutes flat. Dust cloud, debris, the works. Karen screamed something about filing appeals. But it didn't matter. The damage was done. And I wasn't done yet. A week later, I presided over a case titled Harper versus Lakewood HOA. Karen didn't realize I'd recused myself from ruling but not from filing. The evidence was clear. Unauthorized construction, boundary violation, misuse of HOA funds. The HOA's own lawyer looked like he wanted to melt into his chair when the final ruling came down. The HOA is to compensate the property owner for damages, legal fees, and restoration costs. Total value $187,000. When I walked out of the courthouse, Karen was waiting, furious. "You can't do this. You're abusing your position." I leaned in just enough for her to hear me clearly. "Karen, I didn't abuse my position. I used the law, the same law you ignored." She sputtered. "You think you've won?" I tipped my hat. "No, ma'am. The law won. I just happened to live on the winning side of it." That night, I drove home to my ranch. My open driveway, my unblocked road, and a mailbox filled with letters from grateful neighbors who'd been bullied by that same HOA. The next HOA board meeting was canceled indefinitely. Karen resigned soon after, citing stress and unfair treatment. I call that poetic justice. And every time I drive past where that wall once stood, I smile, because in the end, nothing stands taller than the law.